Welcome to Meet the Vegans, and this time we review Friday the 13th. On
Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, 1980, directed and produced by Sean S. Cunningham, starring Betsy Palmer, Adrienne King, Harry Crosby, Laurie Bartman, Mark Nelson, Janine Taylor, Robbie Morgan, and Kevin Bacon. We dive into the story of a group of teenage camp counselors who are trying to reopen an abandoned summer camp, which has a horrific past, such as a boy who drowned in the Crystal Lake, 2 murders, several fires, and even poisoned water.
While refurbishing the summer camp, the horny teenage counsellors are murdered one by one by a mysterious unseen person who roams the surrounding woods. The disappearances of counsellors, disconnected phones, and inoperable vehicles, Alice tries to investigate where everyone has disappeared to. But after a power outage, Bill leaves the main cabin and goes to check the generator.
As Alice is investigating, she soon learns that everyone has been murdered. The tension becomes unbearable for Alice as she finds the bodies of her fellow counsellors. Feeling helpless, Alice notices a car pull up, hoping that it is the help that she needs. She runs outside and is greeted by a middle-aged woman named Pamela Voorhees. Is this the help Alice needs, or will she be joining her friends?
So,
Friday
the 13th.
Yeah. Kill her, mommy. Kill her. Kill her, mommy.
This was another one of those horror films growing up that was one of my favourites.
Yeah. This it comes off the bat of Halloween. Obviously, if Halloween wasn't made, this film would not have been made.
It was those slasher movies. I mean, it was from the back end of the 70s, so it came after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, everything that everyone had known were these big slasher movies, and out comes this new slasher movie.
Yeah. Which doesn't show the killer.
No.
It has a POV sort of thing going on.
And it was really good. And it's that hidden moments. Yeah. It's even from the word go, even when it's set in 56.
Yeah.
That word go.
Yeah.
And I mean,
if it was made nowadays, I know it has been remade and whatnot, but they showcase here's the monster, here's the bad guy, here you go.
It's those
this
classic
built
shots.
The tension right up until the fucking end.
Yeah, it was a shot of feet.
Yeah.
And
or a hand.
And it was
next
awesome.
to a tree.
The thing that I love about the beginning of this movie is, more than the girl walking through the town and going to the cafe and meeting the crazy guy.
Crazy Ralph.
is the 50s scene is when they're all singing Kumbaya, my lord. And it's that lad sat on the floor and he's just looking at that bird going, I want to fuck you.
Let's go.
It's just so obvious, and it was like, I just love that intro to it. They've already set up that generic, the rules that we must follow for a horror movie. Yeah. We've set it up instantly, and I love that beginning bit. And then when it cut present day, wobble of the text. I love it. It's that jump of 30 years nearly.
Yeah.
They've got the backstory of Crystal Lake. Like, everyone's like telling her, no,
don't go there.
Yeah,
you'll
poison
die.
waters, the fires, yada, yada. Whatever, don't go there.
Yeah.
Then we get there, and it just seems fun to begin with, doesn't it? Yeah. It's not even your normal horror films. I mean, I think a lot of other horror films took pages out of this book for the lead up to that fun beginning, leading you into a false pretense, and you know what's coming. And I think that was what was good about this movie. It was low as fuck budget.
Yep.
We've got Tom Savini showcasing really one of his biggest. It's what made him famous. This film, it really
there's some really good sort of
for what it is for its time.
No CG, fuck your CG. It wasn't needed.
No,
it wasn't even invented.
No, it was for its time. And there was really good elements. Yeah. There was bits that I can pick at, and it's quite obvious probably now that you can watch it in HD. But I suppose in VHS times, I don't remember. I mean, I had it on VHS, and I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah.
So, and I will get to those points, but
I'm sure we will.
We surely will. I mean, it just starts off really well.
Yeah.
It builds up that pretense.
Not too much story. It's just basically
these
flows, kids fuck, someone kills them.
Yeah, and it's that hiding of the murderer.
I mean, even when she gets in the car, then she gets out. I think she gets out, doesn't she? And then she gets in another car with Pamela Voorhees. But you don't know it's Pamela, and then she kills her. Yeah, next to a tree, and that's fucking brilliant. That fucking throat slit scene, fucking brilliant.
For that time, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Again, but these are the scenes. I think this is what HD kind of does to it. That enhancing of the video quality is you can see the patch, the difference in coloration across the throat, but it doesn't detract from it. That's what I'm getting at. It's only because I've recently watched it again that I've recently noticed it.
Right.
And it's probably something like the Kevin Bacon bit. You can see the colour difference between his face and the neck.
But it worked. Back then it worked. Like nowadays, if they did it that way and then just touched it with a bit of CG, it'd be fine.
It's just, all it is colour grading.
Yeah.
We didn't really have it back then.
Yeah.
It works for me.
I mean, that scene with Kevin Bacon, well, that's pretty good.
Oh, I love that scene. I love that scene. I mean, even Kevin Bacon, it was one of his early movies.
Yeah.
In fact, it could have been his earliest movie. He plays a bloody good part.
I'm pretty sure he was in Animal House.
Yes, he was.
But he didn't get credited for that.
But
Because he even said that he turned up to the red carpet and they didn't let him on. Even though he has that fucking, like, can I have another one, sir, or whatever. Yeah, they didn't even let him on. So, yeah, this is probably, like, one of his sort of...
earliest movies. Yeah. And he performs well. Yeah. They all perform well.
Yeah. It's wooden here and there, but
it's meant to have that mild bit of cheese thrown in. It was a slasher movie. Yeah. We were in the era of horror movies and slashers, and... It worked. Yeah. Nothing detracts from it. Yeah. The characters, even when you progress into the 2s and 3s, some of the characters are meant to be cheese, and it works. Yeah. And I think that's where Cunningham worked very well. He found himself a little niche here with these movies, and especially the first 3. Yeah. But this one stands out because even to this day, people don't understand who the killer is. They all think it's fucking Jason.
It's fucking not.
Come on, get your fucking head round it. You don't ever see Jason until the fucking end. Yeah. And even that point, I enjoy it. Yeah. I think it flows unbelievably well. Everything about it works. The sets work. Everything. The cabins work. Everything about it works. It does not detract. I can't think of another film. I mean, to reference it to another film, it's probably Evil Dead. Is probably one of other films that where it's set and outside sets work because they're two completely different things. I mean, they actually kill a real fucking snake in this movie.
Yeah, they do.
And I forgot all about that. Yeah. And they would have banned that shit right now if we'd have made that.
That's a real snake. They fucking machete up.
And you can see the bastard. And it's like, they would have totally not allowed that these days. No. And you know,
I am actually quite surprised that, you know, the MPAA or the
cut that scene
BBFC
out.
Or whatever have, you know, said like, oh, leave that in. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. A real animal being killed, that's fine.
Yeah, but don't forget though, snakes are dangerous.
Yeah. But take all that fake gore out.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's really disturbing, but leave the real snake that's been killed.
I'll tell you what, Alfred Hitchcock, you can't show a toilet.
Flushing.
Right? Yeah.
Don't show the toilet flushing.
But we can show a snake being killed.
We can show a snake being killed. Yeah, that's a bit weird, that one,
isn't it?
Yeah. But, I know that Betsy Palmer, she didn't really want to do this film.
No.
And it's only because a car broke down that she went for this part, Her car broke down and she needed money to get a car fixed. And that's the only reason she was in this fucking film.
Well,
because she was in a lot of films in the 60s and that as like the sort of, the blonde sort of, I don't want to say bimbo. Bombshell sort of thing, and this was fucking miles away from what
she was used to before. Yeah.
You know, this was playing a crazy person, not a sort of like blonde bombshell.
She became renowned for it. She was Pamela Voorhees.
Definitely.
No, you know, and
she knows she's crazy as well. Even when she's telling the story, you know, she's like, Jason, he wasn't a very good swimmer, and you can see
the craziness
in her eyes.
My boy drowned.
Yeah.
They didn't look after him. But that's it. That reinvented her, and I think in later life, when she went to conventions, especially, people loved her. She was Pamela Voorhees, for fuck's sake. Yeah. She was the mother of Jason. Yeah. What more can you want? Jason ruled the fucking waves through the 80s, 90s, into the early 2000s. Yeah. As much as the latter versions of Jason became a little bit shitty, it's nostalgic,
it's still
and
Jason.
It's worth a watch. Yeah. But the first one stands out a mile for me. Yeah. Everything about it was perfectly done. Yeah. It was homage. It was coming off the, like I said, the tail end of the 70s to these perfect horror movies we were used to. And it paved the way for the next few slashers, especially slashers.
And it is kind of nice that, obviously, this was made, you know, after Halloween. And Halloween showed quite a lot of Michael Myers when you think about it.
Yeah.
You do see him here and there and that. But this...
Nothing.
That's what it was. Just a hand, shoes, or something like that.
It was the feet walking away.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
Or the shot of their head level in the car looking at the girl. Yeah. You know that's another person. You get that sense from it.
Yeah.
these days, you'd see fucking arms coming in front of the camera or something like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
This, you don't even see that.
even
Like,
see
when she
that.
cuts the throat, you just see the hand come up, slash quick.
Yeah.
Innit?
Yeah.
And there's none of that. Like, now, like I said, it'd be hands in front of the camera, bloody doing all
There'd
sorts.
be a lot of dialogue or something like that.
and there's no need for it.
Yeah.
And it works
Build your
because
tension.
it even...
Do you know what I mean? Build your fucking tension.
It even completely fools you that the legs that you're seeing are man's legs.
On man's legs,
yeah. You have no idea it's a fucking woman.
Yeah.
Picture perfect, this. They did an absolute fantastic job in fooling. No one knew. And I'd love to have seen it in the 80s.
Yeah, when it come out. In the cinema, I would love to have seen it.
You'd have been like, what the fuck is this? This is a guy.
It's not a guy.
It's fucking Pamela's his mum.
But yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
And it doesn't go back onto like, oh, well, there was a boy that drowned. It doesn't keep going back to
No.
it. You know, it's like it's referenced like once or twice in the movie.
Until she tells the story. And
Yeah.
then she tells
The proper
the story.
story,
Yeah,
sort of thing.
tells it all out. And then it's that final moment where she's on that boat, on the lake, and she's like, oh, thank fuck, it's over.
I tell you what I do like, the head cut and the...
yeah.
all that shit.
It's the burst out. I love that
with
burst
the hairy
out.
hands.
Yeah.
It's like, that ain't Betsy Palmer's hands.
It's just, I love that bit.
Yeah.
When he bursts out the water, it's great.
Yeah, the last scare.
And it's the pause.
And I think that was maybe one of the first ones with a sort of like final scare. I could be wrong with Carrie might have done it the first. I can't remember when Carrie came out. Was it 70s?
Carrie was the 70s.
Yeah, definitely. And they did it first then. Or they, well, yeah, because they have the fucking hand coming up through the grave, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of them. Like, you weren't expecting it. You saw the cops. You saw her.
You
in
thought
the
it was
boat,
over.
You thought that's it, over.
But it was. But again, it was.
And then she wakes up in hospital, and you think, "Oh, was that a dream?"
Yeah.
Or
but it's
was
that very
real?
reminiscent Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like when she gets on the back of the truck.
Yeah.
It's that kind of moment again. It's setting it up for. Oh, and they use the music as well to show it's over.
Yeah.
But is it fuck?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I loved about it. It just threw so many mixes into the pan, and it works. It breaks boundaries. It breaks what you're used to.
Yeah.
We were used to seeing the end of the movie. That's it. The safe. Are you fuckers safe?
No.
Even when it like part 2 starts and she's in a flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't fucking over.
Over. It's just begun.
And there were so many movies that were inspired by this movie. The Burning, another good film, but it's just they took what works in Friday the 13th and just put a cover over it and made it into something else.
Sleepaway Camp. Is that another one?
Yeah, that's another one.
There was a load of films like that, you know.
But they used this as the template.
Yeah.
And it worked every time, which is really weird. As much as all they did was change a few characters, the slasher killer became someone else, like the Burning. He used fucking hedge shears. Do you know what I mean? But it worked.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it. They set up this perfectly. It's just a shame in later life that the people who were involved in this movie made some shocking movies. Because it was produced by Steve Miner. And we all know Steve Miner remade Day of the Dead and it was shit.
Jesus. Calm down, mate. Steve Miner made the second one.
I know.
Oh, right.
But he also made Day of the Dead remake and it was shit.
Yeah, that's crap.
So, go back to your fucking where you started.
It showcases all of Tom Savini's stuff, you know. And that's where films, I think, I keep mentioning it, it's like that's where films fail today. I think the closest that you're going to get to the tension in this is like The Conjuring, you know, sort of that sort of film. I think maybe Annabelle. The tension there, you know.
I'd agree on Conjuring.
I'm not saying the brilliant films. I'm just saying the tension.
You see, for me, The Conjuring one could have been.
I do like the Enfield one. That's
number 2's brilliant. Yeah, number 2's brilliant. Number 1, when I first watched number 1, for me that could have been a modern day, like start of the way I felt from Poltergeist. The way Poltergeist made me feel. Yeah. It was coming. I had fucking goosebumps at the beginning of Conjuring. I thought, this is it. This is the film that is going to reinvent horror. Yeah. And then you see it. Yeah. You see shit. And it's just like, why? There's no need. I accepted the hands coming out of the cupboard. I accepted that. That was fine. I totally good with that. As soon as we went into the basement and they saw all the shit,
you lost
just it. It just did my tits in. Yeah. And I hated it.
But I'm just saying, like, the tension of it and that.
But it was great at building tension. Yeah. I also like, there's elements of that in Insidious, and I have issues with Insidious, but the tension in Insidious, is really good.
Yeah.
They use the correct kind of thing. They're using a child in Insidious, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to that childlike.
The poltergeist, you know, it's like
the child
looking into the fucking snowy TV, going, "They're here."
Yeah, it was
What is
Poltergeist.
wrong with this fucking kid? Why is he looking at the fucking
To this
snowy
day,
channel?
Poltergeist 2, the bit where Grandma dies. Hello, Grandma.
Yeah.
As a child, I remember how I felt when that happened. It's just like, sure, your grandma's fucking dead.
Yeah.
It was just like, I knew it.
And that's a toy phone.
Yeah, I knew it from being a kid. To this day, I still get shivers when I watch that bit and go, oh, I remember this as a child. Oh, what has it done to me?
It's mentally scarred me for life.
But and this is what Friday the 13th does. It set up a template. It worked. And
But even though, like, you know, the twist at the end, this is like a twist before fucking M. Night Shyamalan, you know what I mean? In all his fucking stupid twisty films. The twist in this is like, for me, it's so good, it's like, I can keep watching this.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't get boring. You know what I mean?
You could watch
because you're always watching to see if it's like, is it Pamela?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. You try and see.
Figure out if it is.
Yeah.
But you know it's her.
You know it is, but... Yeah.
And even at the end, head come off.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't feel like it's the end of her.
No.
It's like, you are too big a character to be ending right now.
Yeah.
And that's why I like watching part 1, 2, and 3 together.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
get
yeah,
them in
definitely.
together, because that is the Jason story. Those first 3 is the Jason story, and,
Yeah.
And really after that,
After that, it goes to the Tommy story.
Yes,
It's like the Tommy arc.
the Tommy story is really good.
Yeah. And that's fine. But they did the same in Halloween, didn't they?
But
With the little
that's what I was
girl.
going to say. That they actually took elements from Halloween and put them into
Yeah.
the next trilogy.
Yeah.
And that's
Even
where...
if Halloween 2 didn't want to be made.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to make it.
No.
He was forced into it.
But we find that a lot, though. We find that a lot in horror films. Because it was that era of horror, that's what made the money.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were forced
Because
into
you can
making
spend
these
little
films.
budget on it and you
And
make
it's
fucking a killing
bloody
on
good.
it. Simple as. That's why most, like, you know, directorial debuts are like...
But that's why I also
a
like
horror
about this film.
Somebody's tired.
Is what seeing where Tom Savini is, where he came from,
Yeah.
to where, even if it's just 10 years later at Night of the Living Dead remake,
Yeah.
those 10 years in progression in prosthetics alone is fantastic.
Yeah.
From watching, like Friday the 13th is bloody brilliant.
Yeah, even getting the blood right. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it does look
The
a little bit
coloration.
thin, sort of like, you know, in early films and that.
But you've got to imagine,
But then
though,
it sort of becomes a bit thicker, a bit more visceral.
as
and
much
that.
as before this, Tom Savini had obviously, he did Dawn of the Dead, didn't he? He
Yeah.
came in on Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
So Dawn of the Dead was like the early stuff where, you know, he was tinkering, but this is Tom Savini. This was Tom Savini's film for visual effects, wasn't it?
Definitely.
So we see him, and where he progressed in the next 10 years is absolutely fantastic to see. And it made horror.
Yeah.
And I think he is the one thing that's maintained through horror.
Yeah.
As the visual effects guy.
Yeah.
If he's involved, you know you've got something good coming.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything about this had this mixture of people was fantastic, and it set the pace for the 80s.
Yeah.
Because after the 80s, horror kind of died in the 90s.
Yeah,
so.
and then it slightly comes back up with Scream, and then it's like, just leave it at that one, don't bother.
I don't like Scream.
Yeah, we used to. You can't deny it, because you showed me.
Yeah,
Scream was alright. It broke that fourth wall of, like, they knew sort of, like, the traits and the tropes of the genre to try and survive, because that's what everyone does.
For me-
Everyone yells at the fucking screen, don't go in fucking there. Would I be able to survive that? And Scream for me was like, kind of like, yeah, they know what they're in.
All Scream did was...
Just the first one I'm talking about, not the rest of them.
It was Wes Craven, for me, trying to reinvent his
slasher.
His slasher.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street was there. It had now come to Scream, and he basically used the comedy of the unwritten rule book of a slasher movie by putting that rule book into the movie, and everyone knew the rule book.
Yeah, but I think that was it was just because it was the 90s.
And it worked to a point.
You had all those silly films. I think, yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer. They were all the same fucking kind of, you know.
If I'm honest, I prefer Scary Movie to Scream. I'm being serious. I don't have the time of day for Scream. It just
No, I won't
annoys
watch
me.
it. I'm just saying, like, you know, you had a little bit of a sort of like a rising horror, and then it just fell flat.
It fell flat on its ass.
because of all the
I mean,
teenager fucking films again.
Don't get me wrong. I think that's what Wes Craven was trying to do. Was reinvent horror in the 90s.
Yeah,
And it worked for him. But the other stuff that came out in the 90s, it didn't work.
Yeah.
He'd actually left it a good 10 years of the slasher movies, because slasher movies kind of died out through the mid-80s.
it got too silly.
Yeah.
It got too much blood. Like, you
Yeah.
know, who could outdo who? You
And
know
he
what I mean?
actually wrote a good enough story, recreated it, put quite a few famous faces in there of the 90s.
Yeah.
and
Courtney
it-
Cox.
Yeah, and it worked, and it did work. And that's the thing, and you know, and he made what I would suggest is his final bit of real money.
Yeah. His
But-
last bit of life sort of thing too.
Yeah,
This genre.
and then the rest of it, he just sold on the rights of his characters.
as
he
you
did.
do.
Hills of Ice, Nightmare on Elm Street, Last House on the Left, to name a few.
Yeah.
Innit? So, but anyway, we're talking about Friday the 13th.
We certainly are, you little pipsqueak.
So, I think it's time to score it. For me, the elements of this horror movie, I'm going to go big.
You're gonna go
I'm
big.
going to go big. I mean, I'm looking at a 4.5 for this one.
What a cunt.
I'm
That's what I was going to do.
I'm pushing it that high because everything about it pretty much works. There's
Yeah.
just tiny little elements. And I mean, it's flickers that, yes, you're going to get mistakes. No movie is perfect at all. No movie is perfect.
Even The Shining's not
Yeah,
perfect.
and I love The Shining.
Yeah.
This, for me, works. Everything about it, the template has been used time and time again, and it works. The guys that produced it and directed it actually did probably one of the best things horror has ever seen. And as many slasher movies have ever been made and ever been put out there, this template works.
Yeah.
And to this day, it is still working.
Yeah, just don't
And,
bother with CG.
Yeah, and it just works. Everything about it. And I think that's what makes this movie.
Yeah.
No one will ever beat this. Is one of the top horror films.
Even that remake was... It had elements, but... Jesus Christ.
No, we don't. No remake. But no, yeah, 4.5 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you again, because I'm going to have to put a 4.5, just because it was like one of them films I loved it growing up. You know, it was one of those films that sort of... You know, Halloween and this, to me, are like the sort
top
of...
ones.
The pin, like, where the slasher and the horror sort of genre comes into its element, basically, and it takes off fucking wildly in the 80s, definitely. So I'll give it a 4.5. Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you agree or disagree, hit us up in them comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe and smash that like button.
Smash it hard.
I've been Anthony.
And I've been Neil.
And remember,
Hail the
vegans.